Okay, here we go. And action.
So, nice to meet you, Andy. You're playing Caesar, like the moral leader of the apes. Did you have like any role model before preparing for the role?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because in the early stages when I was working on Rise, all the emphasis was on an ape character. So I based him on a real chimpanzee called Oliver, who in the 1970s was the subject of a lot of DNA experiments because he was considered a missing link kind of character. He had incredible human behaviour. He walked bipedally. He was, very much. He, to all intents and purposes, people thought, and he travelled the world as a sort of celebrity and had DNA experiments carried out on him. He travelled in jets, smoked cigarettes, kind of, extraordinary kind of character. But then in the second film, Dawn, I was looking for, as Caesar became the leader of a society, I was looking for a figure that really meant and would be a good comp for Caesar, and so I based a lot of it on Nelson Mandela and Barack Obama actually, and looking at what the level of responsibility those leaders had. How that aged them, how that the cost of what it was to be a leader, that kind of leader, and to hold on to their belief systems in difficult times.
Yeah, that's impressive. Do you think like extinction of human race is like the central topic of this? Do you think, or do you ever fear that this could actually happen?
I don't really think that's what the film's about. I think the film is about empathy. I think that all three films are about empathy, and Caesar embodies that at the core of his character. Of course, what happens to Caesar at the beginning of this movie rips that out of him, and really his journey, although it's called a war for the planet of the apes, and there is a physical war, it's also the war for his own self and his own soul, and the fact that his empathy has crumbled away, and he's as this desperate desire, this kind of lust for revenge eats him up. So and of course by meeting the Colonel, Woody Harrelson's character, and also having an understanding that Koba, the character who did hate human beings, that he could never fully bring on side as an ape that could understand and have empathy towards humans. He now begins to understand what Koba had been through in that brutal time he had.
Do you think Caesar's journey is over yet, or do we see more of him?
Well, that's a good question. The great thing is that these films, as I'm sure Matt Reeves will have said to you, that we know exactly what happens. It becomes a Planet of Apes, but there are lots of stories before we get there. So well, let's see.
Yeah, you would love to embody him again? Or?
Yeah, absolutely, in some way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.
Es sieht so wahnsinnig realistisch aus. Das ist eine brillante Technologie, die ich gerne annehme und auch deren Grenzen sprenge, sodass es der mitreißendste Film wird, auf jeder einzelnen Ebene.
Affen gemeinsam stark.
Planet der Affen Survival. Ab Donnerstag, 3. August nur im Kino in 3D.